at that point, you're not there to play it safe. Like if you're not taking risks, you're not competing.
It's empowering, you know. I mean, anybody who's done a CrossFit workout, you finish your CrossFit workout, and you're like, I'm on top of the world.
Yeah.
Like a hunger for competition and like that super intense structure, routine. I still had that desire.
Listen to the way people feel and the motivations for doing the things that they did. It was like they were describing me to a T.
I'm not trying to solve everything for you, but I know that sometimes you just need somebody to listen.
Learned the most is how to fill my cup by filling others.
Welcome to the Hungry Dog Barbell Podcast. Join me as I talk with passionate people about their life's failures and successes, and most importantly, what keeps them hungry for more. Welcome back to another episode of the Hungry Dog Barbell Podcast. We have like pretty much the co-host of the show back on here. Is this for number 6, 7, 5? What is it?
I don't know. Let's call it 17.
Oh, 17, a nice round number. That's hilarious. But we have Ellia Miller here. Ellia, how are you today, dude?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm great, man. I just worked out. Actually, I fucking took my car in for inspection. It was done in like 45 minutes. I'm like, this is the best.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, this is fucking great. They charged me just the fucking inspection price, the sticker price. You know, I didn't have to get anything else done. It was great.
That's wild. Oh, man. When I had to switch my registration to Kansas, I had to go get inspected at the Kansas Highway Patrol or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they don't do appointments. You just have to show up and wait. I sat in that parking lot for like 3 hours.
Yeah. Dude, so you're back to training. How long did you take off? And we'll kind of circle back to like why you took off, but how long did you rest?
I'm kind of back to training. I took 3 days completely off. I drove back from Knoxville on Monday, took Tuesday and Wednesday completely off, ate whatever the hell I wanted, had a lot of crumble cookies.
Oh yeah.
Went back to just taking class once a day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Off Sunday, and then did Murph on Monday.
Oh man. That's tough.
Yeah, my body was feeling pretty rough after that. I think I was more sore from Murph than I was from semifinals.
Dude, Murph is just so tiring and so fatiguing.
Yeah. And I also, because I was training for semifinals, I did zero actual like Murph prep.
Yeah.
I think that was my second time putting a weight vest on in like a year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's terrible.
But then kind of started to get back into it this week, had some Metcons, some mono. But then today's a rest day. Tomorrow I drive to Chicago for a conference for the gym.
Ooh.
And then drive back on Monday, back in the gym for 2 days. And then next Thursday I fly to Canada for Atlas Games.
Oh, buddy. What are you out there to do? You just going out there to watch, or are you like working a booth?
My friends are competing on a team and I'm their coach.
Damn. That's dope. Yeah, that's awesome. This is
they'll
like
be there for CrossFit Raid if you want to watch them. It's Evan, Elena.
Oh, the
Andrea,
Raid team is doing that's dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
dope. Shout out to them. Shout out to CrossFit Raid. Yeah, I'll tune in and watch the Atlas Games for them. That's awesome. That's kind of crappy that they got that stick of where to go for the thing. But, you know, we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the closest one to them, honestly.
You think?
Like driving distance, I think it's only like a 5-hour drive.
Yeah. What about Knoxville for them?
I guess Knoxville would probably be like the same distance.
Yeah, maybe an hour longer.
Yeah.
But so anyway, the last time you were on, actually not the last time you were on, we talked about the Open. The time before that, which is one of my favorite episodes. What do we call that one? Oh, Wage War. That's what the episode was called.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
The Monster Games.
We talked about like your goal was to make it to a semifinal and then also make it to the games, right? So
Yep.
we were just talking about that a few seconds ago. That's where you came home from, right? The Knoxville Syndicate Crown, man. So before we even get there, what was the experience like at the end of quarterfinals where you're submitting scores and like your name is around the 120s and you're like, I feel like there's a good chance I'm going to make it. Like, what were you thinking like when the last score was submitted?
So when they published the leaderboard after the last score submission, I was 123.
What was that like for 4 days afterwards?
No, it was 2 hours or an hour or two after the last submission deadline.
The original. Okay. So the original like publication.
So right after workout 5 submission deadline, an hour later, they published the leaderboard and I'm 123. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
So obviously they still have to do video review. So I'm like, all right, I can still sneak into the 120 after some video review. We'll see what happens. And I'm like counting all the people that I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's going team. I'm pretty sure she's going age group. I'm pretty sure she's going team. I'm like, as long as I can get 3 people in front of me to go either age group or team.
Good. Yeah.
But then,
are you confident about that?
I should have been more confident, but I was just freaking out because I always just expect worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So for a couple days, I'm like praying that these people that said they were going to go team are still going to go team. And I'm like, please just let me get into the top 120. And then they actually start doing the video review and we start seeing some score adjustments and things like that. And so I got 2 emails, the Sunday that quarterfinals ended and Monday morning that 2 of my videos had been reviewed and my scores were accepted. And one of those videos was the workout that they were giving everybody penalties on. It was the pistol GHD ring muscle up.
Yeah.
And I got my score accepted with no penalty. I was like, oh, nice. Thank God.
Right.
But then I still had 3 more videos and I'm just waiting for the emails that those scores are good.
Yeah.
And at one point I dropped down to 117. And then I think I dropped to 115. And then like a day later, I was back up to 117.
Yeah.
Oh crap, this is the wrong direction. And I'm still just waiting for these other 3 videos to be reviewed. And I saw one of my friends get knocked out of the top 120 because she got a penalty. She ended up actually getting the penalty overturned because she had a video from a different angle to show that her reps were good.
Yeah.
And they overturned the penalty and now she's competing at Granite Games this weekend.
Nice.
But that freaked me out. And I was like, crap, I still have 3 videos that haven't been reviewed. And like, I like to believe that I maintained the standards, but who knows? Like they've given so many penalties this season.
That's crazy.
It's scary.
Yeah. Remember when Morning Chalkout put up that list and it was like, when I first saw it, I thought it was just like the first scroll, right? I thought it was just that one. And then I finally went back to it and just kept scrolling through. I was like, wow, this shit doesn't stop, man. That's nuts.
I want to say that pistol workout, they gave like 120 penalties just on that workout.
The no reps that I was really annoyed about, like with people where I'm sure like a lot of other people, was the fucking shuttle run, no reps and stuff. Like really, you guys are false starting and you're sending the video in and you're trying to like say that you have some kind of credibility, like a false start, bro. I
will say though, I mean, as much as I try to like I'm the first one, as soon as that, score sheet is posted, I'm reading through everything. I'm reading through all the details. I'm reading through the rule book the day it's posted.
Yeah.
And I'm the one sitting there going, oh no, we got to start, on the rower, hands off the paddle. We got to start behind this line, whatever. Like but really then that video starts and the clock starts and you do your intro and you're ready to go. And there's been a couple times where it's like the 10-second countdown and my judge is like, no, you're standing in the wrong spot. And I have to go and like make sure that I don't get a false start. It's a lot to think about. And so it does get a little overwhelming, but that's why you need people like you need your judge to know the rules so they can tell you, hey, you're standing in the wrong spot, go stand behind that line before the timer starts. Or like, to actually tell you if your reps are good or not.
Yeah, someone that's more than just a counter, the days of just being a counter are long gone. So you said you were a little bit like shook with like your video still being submitted. Did you ever like think about like damn, what if I end up on a Hiller video? Did you ever have like moment to that?
Oh, I had that thought. I was like, I'm the one that keeps my videos private. I wouldn't be worried about making them public. Because I fully believe that I uphold the standard in everything I do. But I was definitely like, crap, I really hope I don't end up on a Hiller video.
Oh man, they're vicious. I love it, bro. But like, it highlights like you go into some of these gyms and some of the crappiest shit is allowed. It's just like, bro, come on now. Like it sucks to go see that in live competition, but seeing it like what people are doing in their gyms and like with judges there to view, it's just like, oh man, that's so crappy. You think maybe it happens in the open, but like, because I've had plenty of people come on here and they talk about the OG days, and they're like, yeah, when they first announced the Open, I was annoyed because I thought people were going to cheat. But you think that it's not going to get through to like the quarterfinals, right? And like even past that. But what are we going to do?
It's such a large population that makes it to quarterfinals now that like obviously there's no way to review all those videos.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, there have been good ideas proposed, like bringing back the videos online for the online judges to review and flag.
Right.
But also I think it's just, that's part of the nature of an online competition, especially at that scale. And, you know, having the couple different cuts will help to filter some of that out. But I just hate online competitions in general.
Yeah, they're crappy. And then like the top dogs that you get to sit on, like, oh well, the best people still make it through. It's like, I get it, but you could still professionalize your sport a little bit more, you know.
Yeah.
Like
And
we talked the other day.
I will say, like, that shuttle run workout, when that was my worst finish in quarterfinals. And I firmly believe that there are a good number of people ahead of me in that workout who did half the number of shuttle runs. Yeah. And like, yeah, if they had gone through and reviewed all those videos, maybe I would have been further up the leaderboard and I wouldn't have been stressing about being 123 at the end of quarterfinals.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm somebody who, like, I believe control what you can control, don't worry about what you can't control, and that's not something that I can control. So for me, what I took away from that is that I just need to do better. Like, I need to get myself to a point where I'm not on the cut line, and I don't have to stress about that because I'm far enough up the leaderboard that even if people have wrong scores ahead of me, I'm still going to make it.
Yeah, you're outside of that point. Yeah, that's awesome. You got to be at a point where it's like unfuckwithable, you know, like all the people that are ahead of me, they're just purely fitter than me, you know, like I just thought I needed to keep getting fitter. That's great. So let's take it back, right? You're back in the mindset. When do you get the official announcement that you've been invited to the Syndicate Crown?
So I think it was, I want to say they spent like 10 or 12 days doing video review.
Yeah.
And I actually never got my other 3 videos approved. I don't know if they ever looked at them. I just never got emails for my other 3 videos. I only ever got those 2 emails.
Yeah.
But then they sent like the survey that was like, this is not an official invite, but based on where the leaderboard is at right now, you might potentially get an invite. So fill out this survey about like travel restrictions and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Where they said they were going to shuffle people around to like the closed places. Well, they actually never said the closed place. They said
no, they didn't.
I did go back and read that letter, which is like, all right, you're kind of douchey, but whatever. So yeah, you get that initial survey.
Yeah, so I do that survey. I think that was a Friday, and then the leaderboard wasn't supposed to be finalized, I think, until the next Monday. But then they posted on Twitter like an hour later that the leaderboard was finalized. I was like, holy crap, I'm 115. I'm going to semifinals. And then I got the official invite a week after that.
Okay.
I remember I was getting ready to do a PT session with a woman at the gym. And it's like, I think our session was at 3 and it's like 2:55 and I get the email. And I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to semifinals. And that was when I got like, you're invited to the Syndicate Crown. So I knew where I was going, when I was going, and just like freaked out a little bit. She walks in for her PT session. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I am trying not to cry right now. I just got my invite to semifinals.
Yeah.
She was obviously so excited for me and everything, but I was like trying to coach her through the warm up and trying to like hold back tears because I was so excited.
Highly emotional state. I believe that shit, dude. Like goal realized.
Yeah. Yeah. And like everybody around me was like, you're getting in. Like, I don't know why you're stressing. You're going to be fine. You're going to get an invite. But it was so hard for me to not expect worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So it was a huge relief when that was finally official.
No, that makes sense, dude. I mean, like all of your chips are on the table now, right? Like now it's like, okay, like I did everything that I could do to make this next part. And it's like, okay, I just got to wait it out. Those are always the toughest moments, right? Where you're just waiting. Yeah. So shitty. So what is what happens with your training over that time period? Like, are you already like in full like season mode prepping? Like, what do you do from there?
Yeah. So my training really didn't change. We were not training to necessarily peak for quarterfinals.
Right.
Jill was pretty confident that I was going to make it to a semifinal. So our structure for training this season was to peak at semifinals. So I was still, I trained through the open. I did like a little bit of a deload going into quarterfinals, but I was back to regular training, like 2 days later.
Nice.
And then regular training all the way up until I think about a week before semifinals. I had a pretty significant deload. Pretty much the only thing I did was test the workouts that they released.
Yeah.
For like 6 or 7 days leading into semifinals. And I actually was doing all that with a screwed up shoulder. My shoulder started acting up like 2 weeks before semifinals. I was like,
damn, bro.
Of course it happens now.
Yeah.
But I had a couple moments in the workout or in the warm-up area at semifinals where I was like, crap, I don't know if I can do this workout. Like trying to warm up a wall ball.
Oh man.
Every rep was like sharp pain in my shoulder.
Damn.
I had to call my PT and have her do some like quick cupping and manual stuff like 5 minutes before my corral time so that I could move my shoulder.
That's crazy.
After I finished on Sunday, I couldn't lift my arm for like 2 days.
Oh man. That's fucking terrible. Like, so you just like did the PT work beforehand, and you're like, I'm gonna go through with it. I'm not pulling out of this shit.
Yeah, adrenaline is a crazy thing.
Yeah, it's nuts. So when you get there, what's your favorite event? What was your favorite thing to do?
Oh, my favorite was the last event. That was the ring muscle up, deficit handstand push up, sandbag clean, squat snatch.
Oh,
I waited all weekend for that workout.
Yeah. That's fucking dope.
Yeah. And I won my heat in that workout. So that was like a great way to finish the weekend.
And you climbed up through the heats, right? Like throughout the weekend?
Kind of. So
started off with the last heat.
Friday, I started in the first heat because they did it based on quarterfinals placement.
Yeah.
So I was in the first heat for the lift and for the torque tank workout on Friday. By the end of Friday, I think I was in 12th overall.
Yeah.
I got 8th in the lift and I think 14th in the torque tank workout. So Saturday I was in the second heat, but both the workouts on Saturday, that was the legless rope climb workout and then the ski wall ball GHD handstand walk workout.
Yeah.
I got pretty costly no reps in both of those workouts. I got a no rep on my last. Yeah, I got a no rep on my last legless rope climb because I touched the backside of the cross beam.
Yeah.
And my coach or my judge said he didn't see me touch.
Wow.
So he called a no rep and that cost me about 90 seconds on that workout.
Damn.
And then the handstand walk, we had to do it in 40-foot unbroken segments and it was 80 feet after each round. So at the end of my first round, I do my 40 feet, my first 40 feet fine. And then my second 40 feet, I ended up running into my pylon at the end of my lane because I was in the center lane where the logo was on the floor.
Yeah.
And they didn't have a line on the logo. So I couldn't see when I'm upside down handstand walking, I couldn't see where the edge of my lane was.
Yeah.
My judge yelled at me to stay in my lane, but I didn't know whether to go right or left because I couldn't see lanes on either side of me.
Yeah. Right.
So I was like, well, I'll try going right. I don't know. And that was the wrong direction. And I went right into my pylon. I got my hands across the line, but she called a no rep on me and made me go back and redo that 40 feet.
Damn.
And that was at the very beginning of a 25-minute workout. So that was rough.
Right away. Yeah.
I ended up disputing it. Originally lost the dispute, but then I talked with the CrossFit HQ liaison that was there. Her name's Becky.
Yeah.
And when I was explaining to her what happened, and, they had just given us a big speech that morning about how safety is a huge concern because of what happened with Scott Panchik and the rope. And I went up to Becky and I said, hey, I get it. You're not going to accept my dispute. That's fine. But I do have some concerns about safety and about just having a level playing field.
Yeah.
Those two middle lanes not having
a designated lane. Yeah.
I was like, if I was in any other lane, I would have known where my lane was and I wouldn't have run into my pylon.
Right.
And she was like, and I told her, I said, the head dispute judge, when I said that to him, he told me, well, if you were in another lane, that would mean you were less fit because the two middle lanes were the top of every heat. So I was like, that doesn't really
Yeah, you can't really
matter. Like that,
say that to
that's
somebody though, you know,
not
like
a valid argument.
yeah, it's not
Um,
like a business way to say something to
yeah,
someone, you know, because you were putting on
but
an event, bro.
and she was pretty upset when she heard that,
Yeah,
and she was like, no, I absolutely agree. Like that was not a level playing field across the board.
yeah,
And I said, and for a safety concern, just having that pylon right at the line where we're supposed to cross for our handstand walks, like there was room to push that back 6 inches and make sure that we weren't running into our pylons.
right.
And so she was very receptive. She took that and she said that, you know, other people had brought up the issue with the pylons and they were taking that back and they were going to address that for future competitions. But then when I had mentioned about being in the middle lane, she said, hang on, I need to look into this and get back to you because it sounds like your situation was not handled the same as other situations with this same problem who submitted disputes.
Yeah,
Basically saying other people who submitted disputes about not having that center line won their dispute and I didn't.
yeah,
And so she went back, talked to them, and basically they had grouped mine into the pylon issue instead of the center lane issue. And because they had awarded disputes to other athletes with that center lane issue, they ended up awarding me my dispute. But then it ended up being, they gave me 30 seconds back, which they equated to 3 calories on my last ski erg.
what?
Like, cool. So I just had to ski 300 calories an hour. And that's the
Crush
extra
it.
points.
Crush it. There you go. Oh wow, what a weird thing. What was that process like? How did you initially dispute it? Like, did you go to? Did you know who to go to? Like,
yeah, they have a whole process for it. You have 30 minutes from the end of your event to submit a dispute. You go to the athlete check-in table. They have dispute forms. You fill it out. You write what happened. You give them your contact info. They give that to the head dispute judge. Head dispute judge looks at it, and then they do whatever. And you find out, you know, you might find out that day or the next day or whatever, whether or not your dispute was accepted.
Were you face to face with him when he said the thing about you being? So he came and talked to you.
Yeah, that was face to face. And like, I get it. If somebody is going to be the head dispute judge at a big competition like that, you need somebody who's not a pushover, who's not
not partial.
Yeah, and like who's going to be kind of an asshole because otherwise you're just going to get run over with people thinking that they should win all their disputes all the time.
Right.
So like part of me gets it, but also part of me was just pissed because like, not only was it an asshole thing to say, it wasn't a valid argument.
Yeah.
If it had been a valid argument and he just said it like as an asshole, I would have been like, all right, whatever. But it wasn't a valid argument.
No. Yeah, that's a dumb thing to say. That's not the correct response, you know?
Yeah.
That's dumb.
But I will say, you know, as much shit as HQ has gotten over the past couple months this season, I was super grateful to Becky. She was the HQ liaison that was there. And her whole job was to be an advocate for the athletes, to be that kind of like go-between from the athletes to the competition.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I went to her, I wasn't trying to argue my dispute. I was just trying to, you know, get them to change something for the future so we don't have these issues in future competitions. And she was the one that was like, no, I'm going to look into this, and got my dispute overturned, or got my no rep overturned. But just the fact that like, I felt like I was listened to, and that was really nice because I know that's what a lot of people have been struggling with HQ this season, is
feeling heard,
listening.
Yeah.
But I felt like they actually were listening to the athletes that time, and that's was
super important.
Really nice.
Yeah. So you felt like the competition was organized well and ran well. Yeah.
It was, I mean, the biggest competition I've ever been to, and they're very good at, you know, sticking to the timeline. They had all the equipment that we could need in the warm-up area. All the volunteers, I had some issues with the head dispute judge, but all the volunteers were
amazing,
phenomenal.
It's great.
They were some of the nicest people I've ever met. And, you know, they're literally taking 2 weeks off of work like
Somehow.
2 weeks vacation time
Yeah.
to come and work at a competition. And that was
Crazy.
wild to me. And like, they were just so nice while they were doing it. And it was really cool. They made it a very, very good experience for the athletes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you try to dispute your rope climb one?
I didn't. In retrospect, maybe I should have.
Yeah.
But honestly, after that workout was over, I forgot that disputes were even a thing. And I didn't dispute the handstand walk until I was talking with another athlete about it after we finished our heat. And she was like, you should go dispute that. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Aha.
So yeah, shout out to her. Thanks. But the rope climb one, maybe they would have given it to me. Maybe they wouldn't have, they only overturn no reps on the floor if they have video evidence.
I was gonna say, do they video things to watch it? Okay. So they have to have video. I feel like everything's on camera there,
Yeah, and they have cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
What they told me for the handstand walk one was that they didn't have video evidence to overturn it.
But there was multiple people with that.
Yeah. So, and because they were looking at it as a pylon issue instead of the center lane issue, because basically the argument was, if I had been able to see the side of my lane, I would have known where I was going, and I would
where the pylon would have been. Yeah. So that makes total sense. Yes, that's a valid argument.
Yeah. So, the rope climb one, maybe they would have overturned it. I don't know. But also, like, so it's kind of the same thing with being on the cut line for quarterfinals. Like, I took that as, I need to be better about making my reps clear. Like, I hit the back of the cross beam because that was the only part that I felt comfortable reaching without feeling like I was going to fall off the rope. And so for me, I took that as, all right, I just need to get better at legless rope climbs so that I can make sure wherever I'm at on the rope, I can touch the front of the cross beam. And there's no question for my judge about whether that was a good rep or not.
Be better than even like your worst like possibility, got to be your very best self all the time.
Yeah. And like, I have nothing against the judges that gave me the no reps. Like, I understand being out there, having to make that split second decision. It's hard.
Yeah.
And like, you blink and you might miss something.
Yeah.
And they're told where to stand. They can't move from where they're told to stand. So yeah, if the judge is supposed to stand on one side of me where he can only see the front of the cross beam and I'm touching the back of the cross beam, it's going to be hard for him to see. And like I said, that's on me. Like, I just need to be better about, hey, wherever I'm at the top of that rope, I need to touch the top of the front of the cross beam.
Yeah. Make sure that you always have visible reps, right, to whoever your judge is.
And I actually appreciate that they were willing to give no reps.
Yeah, for that.
On, the history that we've had this season with judges.
Yeah, that's good. That is very, very fucking true. So I think we were talking about this the other day. I forget if I said this to you. Chris Harris brought this up, right? Say you're the last one at an event going, last one at a heat. Would you want other people there to clap for you and cheer for you, like stay out on the floor? But like, if they're not like you, people that you know personally.
Yeah. So I actually got really sad when I saw everybody commenting on that, saying no, absolutely not. Because I get it. Like, if you're the last one in the heat, I was there for at least one workout. Well, I guess it was, most of us got time capped. So
yeah,
but like, it's hard when you see 7-8 people finishing over on their finish mats and you're still going.
Yeah.
Especially on a workout like legless rope climbs, where it's just like, you're at muscle failure and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And I understand why people would not want that and why it would make them upset. But on the flip side, that's what CrossFit is built on.
Yeah.
Like, CrossFit is built on that community. And we always talk about it in class. The last athlete working gets the loudest cheers. Why should it be any different on the competition floor?
Right.
And I like I said, I understand how that can almost feel embarrassing, but same thing as the rope climb, same thing as the cut line for quarterfinals. I take that as, hey, these people are cheering for me because they care about me as a person. And if I don't want to be in this situation, I need to be better.
Right. Be above it. Yeah. I like that. For me, don't cheer for fucking me. But I'm also not going to semifinals. You know, like even when I was doing the open and fucking people were like cheering, I was like, bro, like relax. Just let me get my exercise on real quick in peace. But I definitely do agree that it is a part of community. Like at a semifinal, quarterfinal level, I think like usually it's a little bit different. You know, you may know the people a little bit more personally. Like if I'm at the games, don't cheer for me unless my name's Tia, unless my name has 3 letters in it. Because I'm gonna win either way, so it's whatever, but yeah.
I just look at it as that's another one of those things where control what you can control and don't worry about what you can't. And that's something that you can't control. You can't control if other people are going to cheer for you. So if you really want control over that situation, don't be the last one in your heat.
Right. I think a lot of times, Dan, this might be a little bit spicy. I think a lot of times the people that like we're saying like fuck no and all that shit are people that are probably like top dogs like in their area, but then when they go to these other bigger comps and they're maybe a little bit smaller fish, so they don't like they're not used to being in that position. You know, like a little spicy right there for you. Just one minute to take it on shit. But so after semis are over now, right? Like I don't know if you've even done it yet. Like have you written down your next set of goals? Like have you started framing your mind around like what's next?
I want to make the games next year.
Make the games. Have you written that down yet? Have you put that out there in the universe besides right now?
Yeah, I talked to my coach about it. Day after when we were driving back from Knoxville, I said next year I'm making the games. You
went right to like next year planning?
Kind of. We weren't. She didn't let me. I was not allowed to actually like talk about like in-depth plans for next season. But I did tell her I feel confident that I will make the games next year.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think that any predictions I should ask for like what the season's going to look like next year as far as the open and quarterfinals and semis? Do you think like anything's going to change?
They might make some changes, but I don't think they're going to make any drastic changes to the structure. This seems like it's a structure that works decently well.
Right.
I know that there's been some travel issues for some athletes, but that's going to continue to be an issue no matter what they do. And I hope that they're looking into better ways to address that for next season.
Yeah.
I understand why they couldn't make those decisions in such a short time frame this season.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll have a better answer for next season.
Did you see that one quote supposedly? Because I don't know. I only saw it either on Morning Chalk Up or somewhere else. That someone from HQ responded to the guy with the team issues, and he said the representative said our rule book isn't as clear as it should be or could be or something like that.
I did see that. I haven't really like looked into that situation.
I've only read the articles and the dudes that come from it, you know, like I haven't seen like the hours and all this shit, you know.
Yeah, the only thing that I saw was his like open letter to CrossFit on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I can't comment one way or the other. I do know that there have been a couple things this season where I see something on Instagram and I get real pissed off about it. But then, you know, a lot of times Boz will do he'll go on the CrossFit podcast and kind of like address some of the things that have come up.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that he's brought up on the CrossFit podcast are legitimate explanations or rebuttals to these things that are kind of just getting plastered all over social media. So I understand the frustration from both sides. It's very hard to really know what's going on unless you have all the evidence in front of you.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, one of the things that Boz was talking about on one of the CrossFit podcast episodes was the fact that anybody with a YouTube or an Instagram or whatever can say a million things in a day.
Yeah.
And CrossFit is not going to be able to respond to those as fast as they're coming in.
Right.
And like, you know, one person says something and then it just snowballs before
shapes
CrossFit
the narrative.
has had a chance to respond.
Right.
And they're not going to say something until they have done their due diligence to make sure that they've researched it and, you know, are making the right decision. Because if they say something prematurely without having done the research, that could be even worse for them.
Yeah.
So it's hard, and there have been some missteps by CrossFit this season. Like, we can all accept that,
Right.
but I do think that they are making an active effort to make it better, and we might not always see that in the moment, but I do think that as the years go on and the seasons adjust to the feedback from previous seasons, we will see those changes.
Yeah, agreed. I feel like from my point of view, it's just so many times that we're hearing from so many different people as far as CrossFit, like when you met with the head dispute person, right? Like, they gave you like kind of a crappy answer. And then when you're able to go a little bit more up the chain, you get a little bit more done. I feel like from the outside looking in that they need to put the right number of people in charge of being the responses and the affiliate representation, all those different things.
Yeah.
And then we can stop hearing from multiple different sources.
But that was the whole reason that they even had the HQ liaison there.
Yeah.
Because the head dispute judge does not work for CrossFit.
Right.
He was a volunteer, just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And with these competitions that are not official CrossFit competitions, they're just, licensed by CrossFit or whatever terminology they use.
Which puts it in weird territory, right?
Yeah. And like, I mean, were you the one that I think we were talking about, like if they had like the L3s and the L4s,
Yeah,
as
paying the
regional
L3s,
area
L4s.
judges,
Yeah.
like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But
that's like
a
the way
monetary investment that I don't know if they're able to make.
Well, but that's the way of the past, right? Like, I forget who it was, but someone just the other day was posting about how it's like the 1-year anniversary of them being on seminar staff, and the way they got there was like they were just volunteered a whole bunch of the bigger comps in the area, and then eventually CrossFit reached out to like offer her level 3, and then from there she went on her level 3, kept working at these events, and that's kind of how she paid it off. And then eventually they hired her a job because of what she did out on the floor, and then watching her career as a coach, so like that is pretty much the standard way. You invested in CrossFit, they invest back into you, but it almost feels like that's kind of gone away now, right? Like, that's even what Kat did, like she came up in CrossFit through like volunteering at like different events, and then getting like asked and invited to volunteer at bigger events, and
But
then
that's
you
the
keep
thing,
going.
it's all still volunteering.
Yeah.
And that's
So they need to pay them. Pay them in some sort of way or another. Either pay me in like hire me more for other things, or pay me in like educational value or something like that, or just for my actual affiliate. So yeah, like they definitely got to cough it up. I feel them. I want to bring in the most amount of money too and put out the least, but at the same time, you are like one of the biggest like sports, like fitness sports in the world, so you got to do what you got to do.
Well, and I don't know what HQ's finances are, but I do know that the reason they moved away from regionals was because they were
made no money. Yeah.
Not just not making money, like they were losing a lot of money putting on their regional events every year. And I was even talking to my coach about it when we were in Knoxville and we went to the athlete check-in, and we were both just like, how do they make money off of this?
Man,
like, the amount that goes into creating a semifinal event, it's just like regionals. It's I can't even ballpark a number of how much it costs to put that event on. I cannot imagine that they are making any return on investment there. Like, just based on the number of people that were there as spectators. Because I don't know how else they're making money besides athlete registration and spectator tickets.
Yeah. Well, they have some kind of packages with the vendors that are there and stuff like that, and then they try with like the seminars they do and all the booths and stuff like that. But they're definitely still not, if anything, it's very minimal profit, maybe just breaking even, But then you kind of do that for around the same reason. I don't want to say clout, but it's like kind of the closest thing you can say to it, right? Like develop relationships, like show people like what your skills are, and some people for just the love, the Syndicate Crown's good in that they at least run 2, so they, it's a little bit better. They have things a little like streamlined, but so that stuff's tough.
But again, if they're barely breaking even, I don't know how they would. I don't know logistically and financially how it would be possible to
pay people. Yeah.
to pay the judges, to pay the volunteers. Like, I don't know if that would ever be a possibility.
Well, they're making mad money on the games in the open, so fuck it. You get 50 people from that. You get $50 from thousands of people across the world to fucking put them through quarterfinals workouts and shit like that. It'd be the same workout for all 12 divisions that you have.
But again, that's another thing where we see one side of it. We don't know what the other side is because we can't see their finances. Like, we don't know where that money is going, what other expenses they have. Like,
man, wait till 2023 when I have a freaking online qualifier for fucking Brawl in the Burbs of 2023. I'm taking everybody out for tacos afterwards. We're going to be balling. You're talking about the logistics side. But, so what do you have coming up next, man? You said Monster Games, Big Impact Games. Which one's first?
So I'm doing Monster Games in middle of July. I think it's the 15th through the 17th. That'll be in Missouri. I'm doing the individual RX division. Really excited for that.
Nice.
And then in August, I'm doing the individual division at MetCon Rush in Maryland.
Nice.
A couple weeks after that in August, I might be going to Big Impact Games in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The qualifier is happening right now, so I gotta
get on it.
Figure out when I'm doing those workouts.
Send him $10 for that so he could buy his team tacos.
Yeah, exactly. So might be going to Wisconsin in August. And then I've got Aruba in November for the IF3 Masters World Championship.
Damn, that's dope.
So IF3, that's the International Functional Fitness Federation. The USA Functional Fitness, USAFF, they did an online qualifier for the US team to go represent at the World Championship in Aruba. And for functional fitness, Masters starts at 30 instead of 35. So I signed up for the 30 to 34 division. So it's not official yet. They're still reviewing videos and stuff like that. But I will most likely be representing the U.S. team in Aruba in the 30 to 34 division.
That's fire.
And then the IF3 World Championship. The IF3 World Championship is going to be in Mexico in December. So I think I might be doing that too. So
nice. Hell yeah, dude. I would ask you like what you're hungry for, but I feel like you already told us, man. Like going to the games. Yeah. Do you have anything else that you're super hungry for right now?
I mean, a big part of my life right now is training to make it to the games. And then everything else is just figuring out how to make this my life for the rest of my life, whatever that looks like. Obviously, I won't be competing forever, but I'm trying to figure out how to make CrossFit my life.
Yeah, hell yeah, I feel that. Like I'm on that same way now. I'm not trying to hurt as bad as you to do that. Yeah, that's the game plan, man. Yeah. All right, dude. Ellia, thank you for coming on again. I think it's been another great episode. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon, guys. Like, let's plug your show too. What's it called? The Rise Podcast, right?
The Rise Podcast. The Instagram is risepodcast.us.
Awesome.
We talk about resiliency, identity, strength, and empowerment. And you can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Hell yeah. Guys, go check her out over there. Go give her a follow on Instagram so you can see all the the weights that she lifts and then all the pain that she endures during like the tough workouts. Follow along with the podcast as well. I just switched to Anchor also last week. Yeah. I was like, whatever, I'll get rid of Buzzsprout, go over to Anchor, so I'm still figuring it out. My podcast is going to be back on Apple. It was down for 2 weeks off of that as they converted over, which is super annoying, but it's all good. We're back. We'll be back with your episode.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, dogs. Peace out. Been another fun one.